Sweden, the land of meatballs, IKEA, and silently judging each other while waiting in lines. The land that has been at peace for over 200 years. But how exactly? Well, I don't know, so thanks for watching. What a funny joke. You probably thought the video was over. No? This is weird and I should stop? I'm weird? Fair enough. This is the intro. It's so cool. I got a lot of work to do at school. This is wasting my time. I should probably get back to it. But this video, it's so sick. So go watch it, you prick. Sweden during the early 19th century, can I speak English, thank you, was a fairly poor, insignificant shadow of a once great empire. Having just come out of a period of severe starvation, resulting in an emigration that ended up taking 1.2 million Swedes away to the United States, which was a fifth of Sweden's then population. And when a fifth of your population is fleeing your country, you know something ain't right. Or at least I think that's bad, but who knows, that's just my opinion. And Sweden had also just lost Norway, which it had been in a union with for almost 100 years. So yeah, not the best time for Sweden. Anyway, Sweden's foraging policy had basically been, what is bad, and we do not do that. So when things heated up in Europe leading up to the world... Oh my days, I can seriously not speak English. Sweden's foraging policy had basically been, water is bad, we don't do that. For almost a century at this point, since the Finnish War, which I also made a video about. Go check it out. Anyways, so when things heated up in Europe in the early 19th centuries, leading up to the World War I, Sweden had no real desire or interest to join the conflict. What Sweden wanted last was to have a long dragged-out conflict. Luckily, none of the major powers wanted to have a long dragged-out conflict. So if a war broke out, it would only take like a couple of months at best, or like at worst, like, right? As World War I eventually broke out across Europe, Sweden was rather German-friendly, which isn't bad, because the German Empire was a super epic, cool, and generally nice country. I may or may not like the German Empire. So, it's a German Empire, pretty good, you know. Back to the thing. But it didn't necessarily mean that it had bad relations with the Entente, as Sweden even had volunteers fighting in the Entente's trenches at certain points of the war. Just so you know, when I say Entente, I only mean the western part of the alliance, because Sweden did not like Russia. So when Russia collapsed into a civil war, as it had been fighting a very costly conflict which it could not afford, it collapsed into a civil war. And Sweden was all for it. And from the ashes of the Russian Empire came Finland, a natural ally to the Swedes, as the Finnish were once a part of the Swedish Empire. And as many forget, the Finns did not have a problem with being under Swedish rule, as Sweden treated the Finnish culture with respect, and was the Swedish and was with what have I written in the script here? And was the Swedish and Finnish people okay. The Swedish people and the Finnish people were often seen as brothers, or at least the cultures, with many Swedes and Finns being tied to both cultures. During the war, Sweden could sell raw materials like steel and iron to both sides of the conflict to make some money. I don't know why I said it like that. When Finland erupted into a civil war between the Whites and the Reds, with the Reds being basically communists or socialists, not the hardline communists of Russia, of course. Now, Sweden couldn't really help with direct involvement in the conflict because of its neutrality policy. Instead, Sweden opted to send volunteers, economic aid, and humanitarian aid, and material aid. Hi, Finland. Hi. So you know these islands between us? Yep. Well, they're actually entirely Swedish, and because you revolted against Russia to form a country for your own people, maybe Åland should get back to its own right? So, we actually sent some troops to secure Åland and protect it during this chaotic civil war thing you got going on here, you know? I am telling on you. But no, wait, I just help you. I mean, like, this could be a fair compensation. The League of Nations was an organization to preserve peace and could be compared to our United Nations. I have reviewed this predicament you have found yourselves in. And? Do we get Åland? They even voted in 95% to join Sweden. No! But the— NO! Now, to be fair to the Finns, Sweden did kind of go back behind Finland's back, but I still think Åland should have been returned to Sweden because the population of Åland voted for it. At this point, World War I was over, and the world never fought a war again. Because otherwise, why would they have called it the war to end all wars? So, it turns out this failed painter turned out to be evil and tried to conquer the world. But what was Sweden doing? Guess you know that's more interesting, right? In 1939, the Wehrmacht invaded Poland and conquered it with the help of the USSR. Then Germany, during the Phony War, began to invade Denmark and Norway as to secure Sweden's iron exports through Norway before the Allies could get to Denmark and Norway first. Sweden! Sweden! Yes, old friend. You have to help us! The Germans! They're coming! I know. Why are you letting the Germans pass through you to invade us? Revenge. It does really taste good, doesn't it? You should try it sometime. What are you talking about? You asked for this. Please, I am dying. You shouldn't have left us. Now, to be fair here, that was actually Norway's fault. Like, right, you know? Like, bro, what were they doing? Norway. Yeah. In 1940, as the Winter War had begun, as the USSR invaded Finland, and a fierce battle for survival began as the Finnish had to defend themselves against the giant crashing down upon them. So Finland turned to Sweden for assistance in the war. Now, you think Sweden wouldn't want to help Finland, as the last time they helped it ended up damaging their relations with Finland and losing their best chance of regaining Åland. But no! Sweden does not sit idle when their friends, their brothers, their neighbors get invaded. They do not just stand there and watch as their brethren, their blood gets invaded. Except for, you know, like Norway, Denmark, Poland, Estonia, and Livonia, and Latvia, and so we ignore it. So Sweden once again sent aid in the form of drum roll. Economic aid, 10,000 volunteers, humanitarian aid, and material support. And also Sweden mediated the peace negotiations and helped Finland secure a pretty decent treaty. As Russia had been losing to Germany for long enough, the winter came to bail them out as usual. In Africa, the combined Axis forces were being pushed out on all fronts. So Sweden realized that they had to repent for their inaction and flirting with the Germans earlier. Otherwise, they would risk facing isolation by the victorious powers, which was basically the rest of the globe, except for Switzerland. But who could be mad at little old Sweden? Just come on, look at the sky! Jokes aside, Sweden did actually lend some air bases to the Allies, as well cutting off the trade between them and the Germans later in the war, when Germany was already losing, but blah blah blah. Sweden also taken on a lot of Jewish refugees fleeing the horrors of the not cool or good German Reich. German Reich and German Empire is not the same thing. You can like the German Empire, the German Reich, no. Let's just get that clear. So in the end, Sweden managed to avoid the war and stay neutral, albeit flirting with almost every side of the conflict to stay that way. I know that I stutter a lot in this video, but that's fine. But what did Sweden gain out of all this? Well, as I mentioned, Sweden could profit from trade during the wars, such as selling raw materials, I can speak English, especially iron, to both sides of the conflict during both world wars. This gave Sweden an economic boost and gradually lifted Sweden out of poverty and into a rather rich European country. Although the standard of rich and poor had significantly gone down, as basically half, or no, most of Europe actually had been blown up. Also, you know, not being bombed, enslaved, mass murdered, or nuked, you know, that helped Sweden to get known as a pretty rich country. So now Sweden at least was a rich country, but what? Okay, these notes. I'm just gonna go off script. So now at least the country of Sweden was rich, but with the ideology known as folkhemmet, which basically means people's home, which focused on welfare and the people's lives, made Sweden's standard of living for not just the country, I guess, but also for the inhabitants, the people. So even the little people of Sweden could enjoy the riches of their country. So, what have we learned? That you can make cash of other countries' conflicts instead of getting involved? Heck yeah! Or you know, we could just like not have conflicts at all. Thanks for watching. Bye. Now go touch some grass, you stink. Blah.